This is Hannibal back here from thehannibaltv.com with a review of the RF video shit interview with Debra, former WWE and WCW, best known as a manager, but was also a WWE Divas champion. Also was married to Steve Austin at one point in time. I remember her best from WCW, managing Steve McMichael and being involved with Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. I think she did her best work in WCW. Even though it appears that she was very successful in WWE, I, for some reason, don't remember much specifically about her time in WWE. The main thing interesting about this interview that I was not aware of before, I thought it was all hearsay, was her accusations about the reason that her and Steve Austin broke up was because he beat her, and that it actually went in front of a judge and he pled, I guess, no contest in front of a judge to a misdemeanor charge of beating his wife, and served 80 hours community service, paid $1,000 fine, and had to attend counseling. I did not know that. That was all, I guess that was before the internet became real big. Apparently he was arrested on August 15th, 2002, and he pled no contest on November 26th, 2002. So while the internet was around back then, the cancel culture wasn't really around. So I was kind of shocked to realize that that was the reason. I guess Debra never got really back in with a major company after that. I don't know if she did anything in wrestling after that, even though during this interview she seemed optimistic that she might, but clearly she hasn't been invited back since then. One interesting thing is I looked up on Steve Austin's Cage Match profile. He only wrestled 4 times after his August 2002 arrest. He wrestled once against Ric Flair in September 2022. And then in 2000, or sorry, his arrest was in 2002. Then he wrestled Ric Flair the next month. Then he didn't wrestle again until the following March of 2003, where he wrestled 2 matches against Eric Bischoff and 1 match against The Rock. Then he never wrestled again until that unadvertised match against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania a few years ago. So I don't know if him not being in publicized matches is a result of that, or if it's injuries or what, but it's interesting that he only wrestled 4 times after his arrest. But overall in this interview, there's good stories. I mean, that's kind of shocking, but other than that, she seems like a sweet person. Nothing negative to say about Mongo McMichael, who's still hanging in there and fighting after a long battle with ALS. There's decent stories in there about Owen Hart being on a flight with Stephanie and Triple H when they didn't know that she was actually who she was, and she was listening to them talk business during the whole flight, and her friendship with China and stuff. It's a pretty interesting interview overall. Sad situation all around there. Yes, Malik, I think the King, I don't know how far it went or what the details were, but the King of Connecticut, I believe, at least he seemed to indicate he went out with Debra on at least one occasion, I believe. I don't know the whole backstory on that. Maybe that's a good question to ask him, but I think they may have gone on a date in more recent years. What happened to Bobby Lashley? Apparently he's not one of Triple H's favorites. I I don't know if he was not renewed or let go by WWE, but he's supposedly signed with AEW. Shelton Benjamin and MVP are already in AEW. David, there is some clips with Ricky Steamboat on this channel. There's some wrestlers that don't really like doing shoot interviews because it gets them in trouble. And a lot of these guys are under contract right now, Legends deals, or I don't know what Ricky Steamboat's status is, but some wrestlers don't necessarily like doing shoot interviews. But if you search up Ricky Steamboat, the Hannibal TV, I did buy some clips of other interviews that Ricky Steamboat's done, and some of them are pretty interesting. So I suggest search up that, Ricky Steamboat, the Hannibal TV, and see what pops up. And yeah, I would like to interview Debra at some point. I would. I don't know if she would still talk as openly as she did in this interview, but there's other stuff I'd like to ask her as well. And interesting interview. I wish everyone a great afternoon.